Hello, creepies and crawlies, and thank you for joining us this evening for another exciting and informative and chaotic episode of Ice Cream Queens. We never know if we're going to stay. Okay, things just fell. Can we bring in Lori while I fix my set because things are falling?
We
Holy
never
moly.
know what's going to happen as things just go hitting the floor.
I know we have chaos going at all times. I was reaching for the goat.
The guts. The guts.
I was reaching for the goat and knocked over everything. So there's that. Hey, how are you?
I'm here.
Yeah,
It is back to school season and I'm getting thrown into it. But you know what? We're here. Good evening, Skylar Productions, who just said good evening, ladies, back to us.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to start off today, and just we do pre-show chatter a lot of times where we'll talk about a hot topic or we'll kind of discuss something. But I wanted to.
Sorry, we're with the topic we're talking about, and you're like, we're talking about a hot topic.
No.
Sorry, continue.
Can I claim that as a pun intended, although it was not a pun intended?
Yes.
That was just me being.
It's now candid.
Okay, it's okay. Pun intended. So I'm not sure if everybody is aware of this, but the director of The Exorcist, William Friedkin passed. So we have lost another great movie director.
Pardon me, I have a naked 5-year-old. Give me a second here.
This is going to happen. So, okay. So while she's dealing with the naked 5-year-old, let's see if this still works. If I say Jason Momoa, do we still get Jason Momoa pictures? Oh,
he did so good. Go Joey. Okay, right. I'm back. Hi.
Sorry about that. Yes. So, yeah, this is just going to be today. So, I do also want to let everybody know that although Magda is still continuing to be part of our show, she has to step away today because she's got the blips, and you know those things happen. And so it's just going to be you and I, and we're going to be talking about goth fashion and goth styling, and a little bit about. I think honestly, let's talk about how we got into it. I think that's a good place to start because
how we got into goth, like period.
Yeah.
I would love to. I even loaded up a photo just for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when I was younger, we would get this magazine sent to our house. It was called The Pyramid Collection.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if they still send these or if anyone remembers these, but there was this jacket in this magazine that it was like this gothic pirate with these cool, giant buttons, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen before. And I was right fresh into starting to Evanescence, and Queen of the Damned was coming out, and I was in Bride of Chucky, and I was just like, yes, this is who I am. And this magazine just pops into our dang mailbox, and I see this jacket, and I was like, oh, I need this jacket. So I asked my mom, can I please get this jacket? This was an almost $200 jacket.
Oh yes, I remember Pyramid Collection being quite pricey.
Yes. And it was no, you cannot have this $200 jacket you look like a pirate. Please, can I have this, please? And I don't even know how many years I asked. Every single time this stupid magazine came in our mailbox, the jacket was there, and it was right there, and it was, can I please have, please. And eventually, Christmas one year, I got that jacket.
Oh,
and
wow.
I got the jacket, and I was so excited. And by the way, they do not sew their buttons on very well at all. Those things fell off, and you could hear me coming down the street because buttons would be flying back, clank, clank, and they're big, heavy buttons too. I had to go back and re-sew that thing together. I don't know how many times. I didn't even care though. I probably still have that jacket, honestly. I think it's hanging up on my quote rack.
I think we need to see that jacket sometime.
Eli Cash says that used to come along with catalogs of museum quality swords, which also features jewelry from Alchemy Gothic Good Times. Yeah, it also has a very adult section her massagers that I didn't realize when I was like super younger. They've expanded out. I got magazines like randomly a year ago or something, and I was like, oh my god, nostalgia. Oh my god, I don't remember that being in there. So yeah.
I don't recall those being I don't recall
That's what Eli just commented.
toys being included in, I'm just gonna say toys because
Maybe they branched out.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. If anybody remembers inappropriate items, not really inappropriate. That's the wrong word. It's not inappropriate. It's totally.
It's just.
I'm sitting there
not
thinking about
expected in like a gothic, and it's not solely gothic. It was very much like pirate, fairy,
witchy.
Yeah, it just had this like. It's the crap you can't buy anywhere else. You can't walk into Walmart and get this shit. No. That kind of feel.
Although you might be able to now.
I've seen Renaissance tops recently, and it's almost Halloween season, so you never know.
Well, and it's interesting because looking where you came from and where I came from with this, Gothic attire was not something that was easily accessible when I was.
That was my mother who commented, and she said in the very middle section, Mom pulled that out. Apparently, she would pull that out before she handed me the magazine.
There you go. There you go. So
I love that. Oh my god. That's
kind of funny. That is, yeah. I really don't. I, as an adult, received them, and I never recall seeing that section.
It was discreet. I mean, it was very much like your own personal massage therapy tool. And like, if you're not thinking in that way, you're like, oh yeah, I could see how that would get my shoulders. Like, I mean, they're always sore.
So for me growing up, when I started leaning into, I always kind of had a flair for things that were a bit dramatic, but leaning into the goth aspect of things, it was not as easily accessible as it is probably when you were younger, and then also now. It's amazing because how many shops we see that we come across now.
Skylar said, Mom thought of the children.
Mom thought of herself and not having to explain that to the children. Let's just be honest with you. Yeah, that's a mom move. I'm like, yep, we're gonna rip this out because I'm not ready to explain all of that yet.
She'll love the rest of this, but just maybe not this page.
Yeah. So we'll take these little things out here, and we're just not going to talk about those for a little while because it's going to be an awkward conversation that I just really don't want to have at this moment in time. And we can give it a couple of years. And yeah. So yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
As easily accessible.
The comments are gold. So I mean, these are. I'm enjoying these comments. So get a little sidetracked. It's not a problem. It is. We're not uncommon to talk about adult related things on our show. So that's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
the adulty stuff.
The
adultish stuff. Yes. I cannot word.
The adultish.
The adultish. The adultish. I'm done. My mother commented again. Did not want to give your dad any ideas.
Oh boy.
Thanks, Mom.
So yeah. So, I'm trying to recover, and this is just going down very quickly. Just sliding right off the rails. We're spinning around the toilet. Oh, thank you.
This show may contain strong language or disturbing topics, which may be unsuitable for children, and unusual humor, which may be unsuitable for adults.
Like now. Like now. No, I'm just kidding. No, so far it hasn't been. It's been a little tongue in cheek, but it hasn't necessarily been. It hasn't been too risque. So we're good. We're good. Most of the things that I had in my gothic wardrobe, trying to get us back on track, were things that I had to either buy in a different color and dye them. Rip dye was my was your friend, was not the friend of your washing machine, but it was your friend. And then you had, and then anything else that was more unique, we had to make. You'd be surprised how many things you can make out of fishnet stockings. No, you wouldn't. I mean, yeah.
Oh, well, okay. So the first thing that pops into my head where you're like, you surprised what you can do with fishnet is like, I don't know how many times I've shoved fishnets over my head to get a mermaid look with makeup. By
Oh
the
yeah.
way, that works fabulously. If you have not tried it and you like love experimenting with make, stick a fishnet over your head and don't rub the shadows or what, just pat.
Yep.
But it makes a really cool mermaid. If you've not done that before, it's fun.
Um, oh boy. Okay. My screen is teeny tiny at the moment since I have a lot of the background stuff up. So you'll have to read the comments because
Oh, Skylar said, we're learning a lot about Lauren's family tonight. I love this.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I kind of am finding is that you're seeing more and more companies that are starting to lean into Gothic styling. So it is becoming something that is readily available. And I think that you can't start talking about it without talking about how Gothic styling and Gothic design has recently been embraced in couture. So when you're seeing runway models now that are doing gothic um full gothic looks, and some of these are absolutely, I mean, of course, these are things that the normal everyday person can never afford,
Or
but
just like, yeah, I'm just going to throw
or
this on to
wear.
go to the grocery
Yeah,
store.
let me just throw this on.
Actually, I would wear that one to the grocery
Yeah, I was
store.
going to say I would be living my best Morticia life in that.
Oh, now I love this. Okay, so if you are not seeing the screen, we have this really, really lovely, looks like a velvet dress with the heart top that goes into a fishnet shoulders and then poofy sleeves, so that are lace poofy sleeves and a big giant choker. That's the only thing that would get me. I can't do the chokers. I'm a little too chunky for that. Chokers just look like I'm like, not so much for me.
And then the previous one, the one that you and I both commented that we would love. This is somewhere between a combination of Morticia and Elvira. I think I'm seeing a bit more Elvira now that I'm looking at it, but of course, anytime you have
It's a
that,
really low cut, yeah.
yeah, but anytime you have that kind of mermaid that puddles and it looks like it has tendrils at the bottom of it,
Mm-hmm.
that is definitely leaning into Morticia.
I
Um,
love the way that the sleeves, and it looks like the train of the dress as well, come into those, looks like almost tentacle looking, like if
yes,
Ursula and Elvira had a baby.
yes.
That's what this makes me think of.
Oh, yes, very much so. Um, and I have
Oh,
been
this is a
just,
bit blurry. I'm having difficulty
oh,
with it.
looks like it's just a collection of several different runway models in different looks that are gothic. And one of the things that I see in gothic fashion, and I think it's pretty safe to say, is that when you start working on gothic attire and you're seeing gothic fashions, one of the things that you really look for is just rich, lush fabrication.
Mm-hmm.
Velvet is definitely, you're leaning more towards velvet, you're leaning towards lace,
Mm-hmm.
towards uh, meshes,
Mm-hmm.
anything. Oh,
Skylar Production says, I've gone to my local coffee shop in my Elvira costume. It's always the best thing ever when you are
it
in
is.
some elaborate cosplay or something people recognize and you just go out
Mhm.
to eat at some normal place during the convention or whatever event you have going on. Eli T. Cash says, been wearing my signature hashtag goth skull glasses everywhere, including Johnny's shows at the Palace Theater in, I don't know what that says. Gatlin, Tennessee. Okay. I was like,
Gallatin.
Gallatin. All right. Anyway, flying that hashtag freak flag.
Okay. All right. Well, we know Eli likes to fly his freak flag, so we know
Eli
that.
does like his freak flag. I say as if I actually know. Let's see here. Toy Robot Visual Art says, stick a fishnet over your head and rob a 7-Eleven. See how that works out. Bet that has happened here in our lovely local town of Memphis.
I I am
See?
almost positive that it has. It is almost. If anybody knows that this has happened, please let us know.
I want pictures.
So there was a trend that was very popular this past probably 22, 23. That was a fashion trend, and it leaned more into elaborate coloring and very rich colors, like bright. And it was called dopamine dressing. Do you remember
I
reading anything
missed
about?
that.
Okay, so dopamine dressing is generally taking extremely bright colors
Hmm.
like banana yellows and vibrant oranges. And of course this doesn't seem like it would coincide with goth,
Yes.
but there's an element of it. So obviously dressing bright is and dressing very elaborately, and just putting all of this effort into this unusual standout look is supposed to elevate your dopamine levels and make you feel really good. And
Oh,
yeah, I've actually read a scientific study on that recently, and how it is a real element of psychology that things, when you feel bad about yourself, a lot of things that we do to actually make ourselves feel better is we go and we get our hair done, we change the hair color. Yeah. But we
new
also
tattoo.
new tattoo, but we also go in and we will find, let's say if you're having a blah blah day and you want to just kind of perk up yourself, a lot of times people will lean into color and fashion to do that. um,
Huh.
I actually think of dopamine dressing not only from a color standpoint, but I actually love finding fabrics, finding things that are they're nice to touch.
Hmm. Eli says, I mean, there's hashtag pastel goth, which is, yes, definitely a
Yes,
thing.
yes, it is. Um, I was actually talking to somebody in fashion
Hmm.
recently about dopamine dressing and talking because I was explaining to him, said, I do get a sensation of that dopamine release based on some of the designs and some of the clothing that I wear. And although it's not rich in color, it's rich in texture. And having
I
all
could
of
see
those
that.
layers and having all of that decadent clothing, because
Hmm.
um, not necessarily the color aspect of it, but just the decadence of a lot of what goth fashion is made out of, kind of releases that dopamine effect and makes you feel pretty. It makes you feel happy.
You have
And
my brain going right now. Okay,
mhm,
so I'm sure you've probably heard this, the whole like dress like how your 12-year-old or your 14-year-old self would have looked at you and been like, oh my gosh,
mhm,
that person. And like a lot of people who are older goths, or not even just goth, extreme fashion at this point, a lot of the times they're literally dressing like how they would have made like, themselves, how they would have amazed like that person, oh, and when they were younger. And I wonder if that has something to do with the whole dopamine thing, because I can tell you right now,
mhm.
the way that I dress now, younger me would have been like drooling for these clothes. I wear what I call rainbow goth, which isn't
Yes.
like a hugely known thing. Most people know goth is that everyone wears black. If you don't wear black, you're not goth. I've gotten those comments before. Like I had red hair at one point, and someone commented, and they're like, your hair is red. You're not goth." And I was just like, "Man, shut up."
Y'all,
But
y'all
there's
need to
so
leave
many
me
different,
alone.
right? There's so many different like subgenres of
Don't make me take
goth.
your goth card.
It's like when they try
Well,
and take your nerd card and they're like, actually, do you know precisely who this voice actor was who did this one thing in like 1989? And I'm like, no, why? Anyway,
yeah, but
sorry,
what's fun is
tangent.
when you
That is
do, and they're
fun.
expecting you not to. But yes. uh so you have some items on here, and I'm going to pop these up. I've actually kind
Mm.
of moved these to the front. I know Joey, the roadie, is handling our behind the scenes, but I know that we have a lot of comments coming in, and so
Oh,
I was
crap.
going to kind
Okay.
of pop up some pictures and let him kind of manage the comments since we have a lot going here.
Tag
I
team.
we Yes, we are definitely going to tag team this. So if we got any new comments we need to pop up.
Eli says, "Hey, buddy, you got a little bit of beard to your neck there." Was that my
That
choker cough? What was that in reference to?
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Oh, maybe like the type of person who would have been
Mhm.
like, "That's not goth." Okay, I got it.
Neck
I
beard,
got
beard.
it, Eli.
Yeah.
I got it.
We got it.
Okay.
We got it. I got wine up my nose, but okay. Yeah, we got it. All right. So we were talking about dopamine dressing, and I'm going to show some of these shoes because this is a brand. I have a couple of these.
I have none. Okay, sorry.
I
This
love
is-
these shoes. These are some of my absolute favorites.
I actually just recently made a video about how much I love this brand of shoes. By the way, if you are listening, it is Hot Chocolate Design. They do a lot of Mary Janes, a lot of Mary Jane pumps to where they're like the high-heeled pinup version of them, but very modern designs, and a lot of oh god, what's it called that the Spice Girls used to wear?
The platforms,
thank you,
like the
platforms.
creepers. Yeah,
A lot of Mary Jane platforms as well. And I just did a video talking about how much I love this brand, and I don't own any of them. Hint, hint, wink, wink to my husband if you are watching this. Which I know you are.
Oh, and I'm just going to tell you now, my hot chocolates, my favorite pair, the first pair I ever had, they are bright yellow with a pinup girl on the toes. So they are very much in the vein of dopamine dressing. But I mean, look at this. You've got spider webs. And one of the things that yes. So one of the things that you're going to notice if you start kind of sorting through their shoe designs, a lot of times you'll have two shoes that really don't quite quote match, but they obviously go together. You'll have like a paper design, and then you'll have something that's like a pencil. My favorite or some of my favorites were like the eggs, like scrambled eggs, and then one shoe was a bacon. But so a lot of times you'll have varying. They're all within theme, but they're varying designs. And
they're mismatch, but they're match. I don't think I put up any examples of. Oh wait, here we go. This is from. Oh my goodness, Johnny Depp, Helen Bonham Carter.
Sweeney Todd.
Thank you. That could have been like 30 different movies.
No. This not Sweeney Todd. This is Sleepy Hollow.
No, is it Sleepy Hollow?
Where the bird in the cage, Katrina. Katrina was Christina Ricci's character. It's okay.
I believe you are right. I'm thinking about the bird song from the first one you said, though, which is why I was thinking that movie. But yeah, I was correct enough with Johnny Depp. All right, we have a little collection of skulls piling on top of each other with rib cage bones. Oh my goodness. And of course, the black and white Beetlejuice striped shoes, which I love these so much. And I got a lot of comments on my video saying these are very much wide feet friendly. Which good to know. Didn't know that before.
The way that they're designed, what I have found in the fit of these shoes is that they fit your heel very nicely, but they are designed to give you space in the toe box. So you have, it's like they fit really nicely. So they're not, because generally, even also, one of the things that I've heard from people, I have the opposite issue is that I don't have very wide feet. I have actually pretty narrow. I have extremely narrow calves. I have chicken legs. It's awful. I have chicken legs, and which also lends to narrow feet. So a lot of times I can't wear mules because I'll walk out of them. It's awful. I mean, everything has to be like laced up, strapped up. Once again, sounds like we're not talking about shoes, but okay. We'll get into corsetry.
Thank you.
We'll get into corsetry a little bit too. So yeah, because that's a thing. That's a thing. But yes, the way that they're designed, they fit snug through your heel, but not uncomfortable. Your feet are not sliding up and down out of them, but you have plenty of space that if you wanted to put like cute socks with them, you can. Like the little frilly top socks and stuff like that. But these are great for events. Like if you're going to conventions of some sort. You have to walk
around all day?
Yes, if you are one of those people but honestly, you've seen my shoes at conventions. They're never practical.
You are a little masochist when it comes to conventions and shoes. You will
I
bring a backup pair of shoes because you know you're going to kill the shoes that you are in.
Yeah, I did that this weekend. That was a challenge. And it's I love platform boots. I do. And the taller and I'm not a clunky platform boot. Like I don't have a lot of thick sole ones, but I do like more of a square heel that'll give me a sense of balance because
Yeah.
balance. Yeah, everybody needs balance. But I love wearing very thick soled platform boots that put me very tall. And as a matter of fact, you'll notice that like in most of our photos of you and I when we're advertising for different brands, um, I'm usually the one in the really tall boots. It's honestly, if I took those or the tall shoes, if I took those off, we would be very close to the same height, but it always looks like towering over.
Typically, yeah. Yeah, the towering effect does. I mean, we've recently done a couple photo shoots for a brand that I did want to talk about tonight, so might as well hit it.
Yeah.
Called R Gothic, which is the Gothic brand from Rose Gal, and the photo shoots that we've done have just been so much fun. As you can see, I'm in platforms in this, and you're still towering over me.
Oh,
I love that dress, by the way.
I'm in tall platform boots or shoes as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, looks like you were in pumps there.
yeah,
If we can hit up a couple more of these. Okay, so here I am in flats, and you are in
they're probably
the
4 inch heels.
giant shoes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you do tower over me. But I mean, it works, especially when we cosplay, because you
Yes.
do Lady D a lot. And I do these very much like shorter. And here's our last one. Once again, you're in some boots. I'm in some Mary Jane platforms. But yeah, modeling for this brand has been really fun.
It
I'm
really
enjoying it.
it's been fun because first of all, the clothing is a lot of fun.
It is.
And you know, there are bits and pieces that I think that we both get that are
I'm
not
wearing one tonight.
necessarily. Oh, okay.
I'm wearing one. I'm going to stand up.
Stand
Look at
up.
that.
I'm in
Ta-da!
pajamas.
Okay. I'm
You can
wearing one
see through
tonight.
my pajamas. I might need to stand up.
Hey!
Right. Yep. Okay.
That's some extra views there.
Yep. Angle that down a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to comment that the StreamYard now only has these like these little square boxes. They used to do like the long narrow ones so you could see more of the background and everything. So and yeah, we don't get those anymore. But
I wish they would. There's probably a way for us to do it, and we just haven't figured it out.
yeah, there's probably that. So yeah, the clothes have been really a lot of fun, and these are all part of our Gothic, and they are surprisingly, specifically the pinup clothing, the pinup style clothing that has generally the big giant uh, windows in the front. These fit beautifully, and obviously these are made for different body types. These are made for different figures. These are you are a lot bustier than I am, and oh yeah, you are.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
And you know, and when you look at these dresses side by side and you realize that the styling on both of it's the exact same dress, they are styled totally different, and it works. And these actually were styled very similarly. However, yours is a bit more modern, whereas mine is a bit more traditional.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
the fishnets, and I didn't have the belt, and I was stupid, and I completely forgot to like iron it. So yay, wrinkles. But other than that, yeah.
Now, someone, so I did mention that Magda is not on the show tonight, but I'm gonna pop up a picture that I found of her, and I hope she doesn't get us on this one. So Magda has been just pretty much Victorian vampire Gothic all of her life, and I found this, and she also is really experienced in corset training and corsetry. Also being a seamstress really helped, you know, when we initially started talking about doing our first episode, having her come and sit in and chime in and talking about the different types of fashion that she's been involved in is always really neat. One of the things that I really find interesting is a lot of Gothic fashions do pair beautifully, or almost it's almost a requirement for um, corsetry. Whether it's underbust, it's overbust, there is a lot of use of corsets, and I will be first to tell you, I love a good corset, and we'll just wear them for the heck of it.
They're it's like extra big belts for a lot of my outfits. I wear stuff and I'm like, this needs something. What does a corset? And I just throw it on.
So we have a series of these little goth cartoons that talk about different types of goth styling. And I'm going to pop these things up because I know that everybody has seen these things, and it's fun to try to.
Sorry, they've been shared like all over Facebook and, any social media. If you're in the Gothic community, you've probably seen these little drawings. But I do want to go ahead and say this does in no way encompass every single different style or type of goth. This is just the ones that we found that we wanted to throw up. And question, do you know who the original artist was? Because I was unable to find them, but I did try.
I looked for the artist, but because they've been shared out so many times, if somebody knows the artist, please let us know in the comments, because we would like to acknowledge their work. But I think that these things have become almost a staple for people trying to determine, what elements build their goth look. And there's no single element.
Yes. I was about to say, I feel like I'm about like 4 of them combined, but yeah, let's go ahead and pull some up. I want to see which ones you identify with.
Okay. So we have New Goth.
I have a friend who very much encompasses New Goth. She's a burlesque dancer local to the area, and she's absolutely gorgeous. But very much this aesthetic, if you mix that with like pinup, really reminds me of her.
Our friend Jordan, that's been on a kind of on our show before, she kind of leans into the styling a little bit more. I think because it has that almost that lingerie look to it. There are certain people who can do this look very, very well.
Yeah. Oh, this is one of my favorites. If I had one that I could choose to like throw on I lean into that list, this would be one of mine. This is Cabaret Goth. Whoop, they went away. There it goes. Fairy Goth. That was me more around like 16.
I know a few people who are fairy goth, and these would be more of like your Renaissance dresses, paired with bright colors, and usually lots of wings, lots of hair flowers and stuff like that, or flower crowns.
I know some TikTokers who lean into this highly, and it's always, their videos are gorgeous. Skylar Production says, a Gothic woman I convinced to take part in our local pinup pageant won. I knew she would because she is so damn beautiful. Good job. Support the other one. Be like, go do the thing. You're gorgeous.
Oh, yes, yes.
All right. And Eli says, Helga Protiv is the name of the artist. Thank you so much,
Thank you. Thank you, Eli.
I looked everywhere for that and I could not find it.
White goth. So this is not something that I generally see as a style, as I see as more of a that's usually event driven, and that just might be the area that we're in.
Yeah, it could be just like it's not around here, but it's popular in other areas. I do know a couple Lolitas who lean into this. They like mix this with the aesthetic.
Oh yes, that makes sense now.
Casual goth. I have another friend that this one reminds me of, that I see this and I'm just like, I don't want to like name names, because then I feel like I'm like calling them out and be like, hi, I'm telling people who you are online. It's totally not creepy or anything. But anyway, yes, I have a friend.
You can mention first names. It's okay, because first name is first name.
Their first name is very different.
Okay, so we're not going to mention first names.
Yeah. Oh, what is this one?
This is
Strega fashion. So this is, it's not as I feel like my oldest daughter would lean into this so easily. She is a bit more boho,
Mhm.
but she does have a lot of gothic and witchy elements. I think she's more of a boho witch vibe than she is a gothic vibe, but um, that's a
Okay. I had to Google it because it was just I don't know this one and I'm feeling like about it. All right. What is strega fashion? The word strega is an Italian word meaning witch, echoing the core aspect of the style, dressing like you think a witch might dress. Huh.
I think that
And see,
kind
to
of
me, I always just thought witchy goth, but strega, that's a gorgeous word. I love that. I'm going to stick with that from now on.
I do like that. However, even with more of that witchy vibe goth, you have so many different variations on
Yeah,
it.
medieval goth.
Because I think looking at medieval goth, which we have up once again,
Mhm.
Renaissance styling, long
Mhm.
drapey sleeves, and this is very witch driven to me as well. Very. Of course, we have rockabilly,
Gothabilly. You
gothabilly.
said
I'm sorry.
rockabilly. That just makes me think you. I see this picture and I'm like, oh look, it's DL.
Yeah,
Okay.
I lean a lot into that. Um,
Vampire goth.
that's
All I can
Magda.
think is Vampire Jack. That's all I can think. By the way, Vampire Jack. Okay, so this person was a guest of on our show quite a few many episodes ago,
Yeah.
but he recently did a full series of an alt because he does acting, lots of different characters and storylines. But he recently did a series where she was in a dress and was like a different character and was a female character, and man, when I
I
tell
saw
you she
that.
was gorgeous, dang, I wasn't expecting that. She popped up and I was just like, okay, let me just wipe this saliva off there, sling it somewhere. Anyway,
Get someone who can do
continuing
both.
on.
Uh,
A Victorian goth. I wish I
Magda.
could do this. This is just so many damn layers, and we live in the South.
It's a commitment to if you've ever been into an event that is more Victorian Gothic driven or Victorian driven, it's a process.
Have
And
you
this
ever been in a modern stall dressed like that and you've had to pee in a
yes.
bathroom? And
Yes.
you need like a team to go in with you, like somebody hold this petticoat, somebody else hold. I can't even like just you know what? Hold this up here like a tent and
So our friends at the Broom Closet used to host a vampire night, where it was more not necessarily a vampire night, but it was a vampire poetry club, and they encouraged everybody to dress in vampire attire. And the vampire attire that I choose has a tendency to be very different than like the normal pinup stuff that I would wear in the Gothabilly look. But this would be more of something that I would select, the big ball gown type skirts and, the ankle booties that lace up. And they're more what I would consider, traditional granny boot, parasols. I mean, this is actually very close to an outfit that I wore to one of these events. It's
that does not
think,
surprise me.
yeah, think Nadja from What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh
And
my God.
that is my vampire vibe. And that is how I like but it's a lot. I mean, you're looking at this, it's like there's a shirt, there's a jacket, there's corsets, there's an underskirt, there's an overskirt, there's scarves around the skirts, there's, thigh high stockings that are like
Gloves and a
yes.
parasol and yep. And as Skylar Productions just commented, corset first, then shoes. I'm backwards. I do shoes and then corset. Is it supposed to be corset then shoes?
Well, okay, so I have yes, everybody always says corset first, then shoes. That's truthfully, if you're wearing
she corrected herself. Sorry,
shoes first, then corset.
Yep.
Honestly, I can do both. I can put on. It's not so much the corset aspect of it, depending on how it fits, and if you in lacing them, because a lot of people have a tendency to overlace them
Mhm.
and not and to get it where you can't, you should be able to bend to some degree. Now, you're not like bending at the waist and bending over and touching your toes, but you should be able to sit down in a corset.
Well,
And
I
if you
think a
can
lot of
sit,
yeah, I think a lot of people mistake like where they're supposed to tie a corset as well. I mean, there's obviously different reasons for corsetry, and there's different areas you can tie it at the top, you can tie it at the bottom. I was always told you're supposed to tie it in the middle so it can like move with you as you're going. If you tie it at like one end, your other end doesn't have the give to be able to wiggle with you. At least that's what I was told. I'm hoping that's correct because that's what I've been doing.
Oh, I relace every corset I buy to actually be in a different spot. It's generally in the middle, but yes, but no, I never try to pull them from the top, and I never try to pull them from the bottom. Also, do not tie them in front of me, because I think that all of that, because yes, it should be the way that I have learned. It should be laced so it pulls on your waistline and gives you that hourglass figure. But that also should allow you to have a little bit of space at the top and at the bottom. First of all, you don't want to take everything that's in the middle and shove it up your back and have a giant roll of back fat showing, because that's not pretty. Nobody wants back fat.
I like my back fat. Thank you. No,
well, but also the same thing from the bottom. It's like if you have a corset and you're lacing it either at the top or at the bottom, a lot of times it's going to push things up or down.
And they always come laced that way when you get them.
Yes.
All right.
I also
can I have like a rant? Can I have like a 2-minute rant? Not even probably 1 minute rant. Okay.
Let's rant.
I do videos where I try on different Gothic outfits that I'm sent so we can do photo shoots and stuff. Like, it's part of the reason that I'm sent stuff is because I'm one of the models that they do the thing with. Sorry, people have been yelling at me recently. I've gotten a lot of comments and being like, excuse me, corporate greed is not goth. You should not be getting this much stuff. And I was just like, it's literally because like I'm one of the models for them. I'm working with the, I'm not just like buying all of this to the wait. But anyway, back to my original rant. I got a corset in and I put it laced up and I kind of tied it a little tight while I was talking to them. And while I was talking to them, I did pull it around the front and like just kind of tied it around front so they could see how much extra slack there was on the string. Because when you're trying on stuff, they want to be able to see like how tight is it, how this is that. And so just to show them like how much slack there was, I did that just for like 2 seconds so they could see that. And then I took it down. The amount of people in my comments screaming at it, you should never tie your corset around the front. And I'm just like, y'all, I'm literally just trying to like try on clothes so you can see how things fit. I'm not walking out the door to go to some event with this tied around the front like that. Like, calm the hell down. All right, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you for letting me rant. All right, we have haters gonna hate, Lauren. Oh, Steam Goth. Okay, we got another photo pop up here. I used to be in a steampunk group, like local here to Memphis. Oh. We were in a commercial for some game. And so I don't even remember what the game was. But they had us dressed in all of our steampunk glory, and Steam Goth is lovely. It just kind of reminds me of like Gothic pirate, though.
Well, and they kind of go hand in hand because basically it's almost like steampunk is airship pirates, whereas pirate goth. And I've been to events before. I used to be part of a pirate band, and we would travel around periodically and do shows. And one of the events that I did was a pirate and Viking festival. Yep. Fun. And pirate and Viking festivals are it's exactly what it sounds like. There's pirates and there's Vikings, and oh my God, it's insane. So, but I had a outfit that I had as one of my pirate outfits that was black leather leggings, and a poet's blouse that was had tails in the back, and it was like ruffles, billowy sleeve, text tails in the back. Absolutely, beautiful piece. And then of course I'd put like a corset over it and have sashes with it. And so the pirate queen at the festival. There was a king and queen at this festival, and you can find the pirate king and queen. They're based out of New Orleans. They are, you want to talk about some decadent, beautiful clothing. I highly recommend to find this. We'll link them somewhere. We'll have to share some images of them. But she started calling me vampirate. And she's like,
I love it.
Yep. She's like, you're a vampire. But on the other side of that, I'm also seeing like Western pirate, or not Western pirate, but Western
goth.
Like the whole,
which is
like,
different than steampunk goth.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Like there's very subtle differences between all of these, but there's things that you can mix and match from this one. I could pull this and put that into here and it would still fit. And I just love the creativity. Like people who jump into the gothic aspect of the wardrobe and they're like, I love this, but you know what? I also love cave trolls. And then they end up having like a sexy gothic cave troll. And I'm like, yes! And like people are just creating these new things and inspirations, and I adore it.
Well, when you consider that people are branching out into, first of all, so goth has always been associated with music, or at least that's what most people say, is that it is associated with music. For me, goth has always been more associated with literature. The music is there in gothic, you know, and I grew up listening to Susie and the Banshees, and I grew up listening to Bauhaus. So, I mean, there's a lot of those, you know, traditional gothic bands that you grow up listening to. They weren't the only bands that I was listening to. I also spent a lot of time listening to Broadway musicals, and you would be surprised how, you know, when you're addicted to something like Jekyll and Hyde, that is, I mean, that's got a very definite, you know, goth feel to it, but you have all of these other avenues that you can basically take the design and have it gothic influence, you know, gothic fairies, gothic. So, you know, there's even the movies are generally accented by the music in the soundtrack, but movies like The Crow, I mean, that's about as goth as you get, in my opinion. You know, but that is, and it's got an incredible soundtrack, but it's not 100% about the music.
Yeah,
it's more about the story. So I'm one of those that kind of believes that goth comes from all of these different avenues and creates a culture, and that culture can vary from person to person, and you can take whatever you want from a specific culture and make it into a goth based design.
I absolutely agree with you. Like 100. On one of my videos, I was showing off gothic stuff, as I mentioned earlier, and somebody commented, what are your favorite gothic bands? And I about had a panic attack. I ignored the comment. I almost thought about answering them, but I know if I did, there was going to be like, well, that's not goth. Like it was going to be it felt like a test, you know, like when someone's nice to you. I don't know if you have this fun sort of trauma, but when someone's nice to you and they ask you a question, like legitimately about yourself, and the whole time you're like panicking and you have anxiety, and you're like, this is a test. Why are you asking me this? Why are you
I'm
like,
gonna fail? I know I'm gonna fail.
Exactly, I'm gonna fail this test. I felt like it was a test, and I was just like, I don't.
You asked me a question, you're like, what? Huh? I didn't hear you. Purple water? Okay, let's go. Yeah, that's me. That's me. And that actually,
frog.
Yeah, frogs. Is that the right answer?
Frogs. Is that right? I mean, I could have answered the question with many different things, but depending on who the person is, whether they think that thing is goth or not, or if that's not the original, or if that's not there's never the perfect answer for somebody. So I was just kind of like, I never saw that question. I never saw that comment, and I ignored it.
Well, and I think that's such a heavy comment. It's like, what goth bands do you like? I'm like, I like a lot of bands. I like a lot of different types of music. And what I'm listening to today might not be what I'm listening to tomorrow. And what I'm listening to tomorrow could be Taylor Swift. I don't really know. So, I mean, it's having musical diversity should not hinder you from being part of a world that you you embody. And
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
it's like, yes, I love goth bands. There are quite a few that I like. There are goth bands that I don't particularly care for. And
And then
then you have that whole new metal, or I guess it was called new metal, that Evanescence kind of fell into, and My Chemical Romance.
yeah.
And I'm sorry, I loved all of that too. I was introduced to those bands more or less through my oldest child, and my youngest child is continuing to introduce me to even more. I'm just going to tell you one of the types of music. So if you ask me as a goth person, what kind of music do I listen to? And I tell you that I listen to murder folk. It's a thing. I love.
What is this thing? Tell me more about this thing.
Oh, murder folk is exactly what it sounds like. It's if you're familiar with bands like Amigo the Devil, or yep, there could be banjos in it. Usually there is. My youngest child refers to it as that damn banjo music, not necessarily like that, but kind of like that. But it is. She hates the banjo music, but I think she loves the banjo music, and I make her listen to the banjo music. But that whole dark storytelling. Amigo the Devil is the one that I always kind of lean into, just because he's probably one of my favorite. But the Dead South, the Sweeplings, I think, are kind of somewhere in that. Not necessarily, but there's a whole lot of, and then you have bands like Twin Temple, which basically is all of their lyrics, all of their songs are very satanic driven. She sounds like Amy Winehouse, and I absolutely love this. A lot of the advertisements that like when we were using music to, like, on the Instagram reels and stuff like that, I use a lot of Twin Temple, because it's amazing music. But
we're getting off topic.
No, yes and no, because we're talking about the things that make a goth, and a lot of people kind of pick out and say that you're not goth. And although we're sitting there looking at these things, I'm just going to flip through a lot of these really fast.
Let's go through a couple of. We have trad goth,
traditional goth, and this looks straight up. I mean, the character
1980s.
She's drawn to be Susie Sue.
Yeah,
that's all I see there. You have cybergoth, which is cybergoth. Yes, and I always felt like cybergoth and steampunk, no, not cybergoth and the cabaret goth kind of go hand in hand.
I can see that. I don't know. I have a friend who really leans into cybergoth, Brandy, and she looks gorgeous. She does a lot of purples with hers, and I don't know. I can see the lean into that, but I can also see like the very nuanced the differences.
Oh yeah, well, and there's also some elements of steampunk that I think are mixed into this when you start getting into, but also a lot of Japanese and anime fashion kind of lean into this as well too.
We have a death rocker.
I know
love the boots on that 1990s right there boots.
This look. My youngest child doesn't really consider herself goth. You've met her. She's a baby bat. She considers herself punk, but this is
fair
what she looks like.
Okay. Yeah.
This is what she looks like. She has sported a mohawk on regular. As a matter of fact, she's actually kind of sporting. She's got shaved sides on her head and everything. She's amazing looking, of course. Next we have
pagan goth.
So once again, another gothic style that leans into witchcraft elements. And I do see a lot of those.
We have tribal goth. Which is goth belly dance is what it has in the parentheses.
Yeah, I was gonna say yes. We actually have a belly dance group here in Memphis that has several tribal goth dancers in it.
Perky goth.
That'd be
people would throw that one at me. Yeah. And I hear the word perky in my brain just from like the amount of perky people who tormented me throughout my youth. My brain goes like, no, but yeah, I've got that personality. I'll admit it.
It's not necessarily perky. It's just more upbeat and positive. Well,
I've got a rivet head. This makes me think of Joey whenever he does goth out sometimes. But he also does like this, and there's like a very
Edwardian, maybe.
Almost. I don't know. I don't know how to keep going. Maybe it'll pop up, but like it feels. Oh, there's mopey goth.
Okay, I'm sorry. This one bothers me.
Yeah, I don't like this one.
This one just basically feels like somebody took a goth character and said, "Hey, we're just going to put her in a long black dress and long black hair that's covering her face, and we're going to make her look depressed." And
it just makes me think of Bella when she's going through her whole like depression thing in Twilight.
But here's the other thing: is people want to associate goth people with just because people have a tendency to have fascinations with death, with things like I'm very interested in burial traditions. I am very interested. I follow a couple of morticians, and I'm very fascinating, information. But that doesn't mean that I necessarily want to be dead. It means that I have a fascination with some elements. A lot of times goth people, you dress all in black a lot of times, and then you have things like skulls that are added into, or you have taxidermy in your house. And a lot of people don't understand it. I'm like, that is not necessarily a fascination with death. I actually consider it to be more a celebration of things that we don't always understand.
Yeah. Oh, hippie goth. I love this one.
This is actually more my oldest daughter too.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Yes.
Yes.
Fetish goth.
Hope we don't get in trouble for that one.
Just keep going and pretend it never happened. Romantic goth. This makes me think Magda once again.
Yes. Well, Magda has all of those Victorian elements. So you have romantic, and is going to definitely fall into that. And then of course,
corporate goth. Which we've both. I know you do more than me. I do lean into it occasionally, especially when working. Just kind of makes sense.
Yes. Well, and depending on what the nature of your job is, some companies or some positions might require that you be a bit more professionally put together, and some departments in some companies might be a bit more lax. So, generally what you find is like IT people have a very defined. I know Joey the Roadie is an IT guy, but they have a tendency to be very casual. And I can see him backstage, so not if I'm being correct. It's okay. But like with my job, I do interact with a lot of, what was that? I'm sorry, I missed something.
Sorry, Aubrey said, ooh, hippie goth is what I call Southern witch, which I love the idea of, but I also want to see okay, so hear me out. Georgian goth, like old school, think Gone with the Wind, but goth. That wasn't one of the ones that was on the thing, and now I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, but that's kind of a tie between Victorian, like that old Southern Belle type goth. Yeah, I can see that.
You gotta say it in the right accent, Dale. Come on, that old Southern Belle. I can't do it good.
Periodically, we are going to have to be our old Southern Belle selves. We have Southern Belle style, but not necessarily a Southern Belle.
This reminds me of True Blood, when everyone was suddenly trying to have like an old Georgian accent, and some people were really good at it, and some people were like really bad at it.
Well, okay, so this is what a Southern accent normally sounds like. It's just, this is what I have a very Southern accent, but yes, I can periodically slip into that character if I need to be. Oh my God, I sound like Gay Auntie, don't I?
You do! You sound like Gay Auntie!
Oh boy. Okay.
We're gonna have to cut this scene right here and be like, oh, and then tag them on TikTok and be like, Auntie, we're thinking of you. We love
you. My dear Auntie, we are thinking of you, and we do miss you and would love to have your presence grace this screen again sometime in the near future. We do look forward to hearing from you on this open invitation, if you do not mind. I'm from the South. I can do this. So, we actually refer to that almost. There's a character that we the Mr. has done before when we travel around, and his name is Colonel PGT Beauregard of the North Carolina Beauregard. I don't remember where he's from, but it's this character that he gets into that he does that sounds. It's basically I'm like it's Colonel Sanders. No, I'm just kidding. I live on a chicken farm. No.
Speaking of Colonel Sanders, I did get all of my new cosplay in. Just to throw that out there, we might have a murderous Wendy's soon. So.
And Ronald.
And
Ronnie.
What?
Ronnie? Ronald McDonald?
Are we tag teaming again?
Of course we are. If we're not tag teaming, is it? I mean, this is come on now. This is what we do. And yes, there are a lot of gothic elements that go into our cosplay designs. Partly because we love horror and we love anything that's kind of dark and creepy. But yes, so, this is of course Lauren and I as
Penguin and Catwoman.
Yes, I love and hate wearing that outfit so much.
You look so freaking good in that outfit, but I see you in that outfit and I'm just like, oh honey, I feel sorry for you. Like it looks so hot.
Oh, it is. And we and the last time I wore it was in the middle of summer to one of our events. So you were inquiring about Corporate Goth, and I know that we're kind of hitting the top of the hour, but I wanted to show you a couple of things.
Okay.
So when I go Corporate Goth, this is what I wear to work.
Oh, that looks
Although
like
I have a
you're
shirt
gonna
with
go
it.
sell papers down at the like. Hear I don't know what. Not hear ye. That would be like old times, but like some sports ball thing and someone else is murdered. Come get your papers. Like that's what this looks like.
Oh no, that definitely has that whole page boy look or paper boy look. So I love this, and it is. It's very comfortable to wear, and I have this in a lot of variations just because it's you put a jacket with it, and and you can look gothy at work. It's a lot of fun.
Love it.
And this is what I generally look like on the weekend.
That's my girl.
I would consider that boho goth.
That's my girl friend. Little nod to our conversation we had the other. But that's fun inside jokes, y'all. Unless you want to tell them the inside jokes, then it's not inside. Then it's outside jokes. That doesn't sound right either.
It could be an outside joke. It can
go for it.
Yeah. What's our inside joke?
Okay, so we had a friend who recently asked one of their daughters if we were girlfriends. They know that we are both married. Mm-hmm. But they, at the same time of knowing we're married, they're like, are they girlfriends? And her daughter was just like, well, I mean, if they're not, they should be, or they might as well be, or something. What did she say? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a question. It's like, are they dating?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know that they're both married, but are they dating? Because that kind of seems to be a vibe here. But I think a lot of that is just because the nature of a lot of the photos that you and I end up in.
We always end up licking each other somehow. I don't know how that happens.
It's never intended, but it always seems to happen. And those are the pictures that are usually a lot of fun to share, because that's you and I being our normal kind of out of control self. All right, so I am seeing that we are at the top of the hour. And before we jump out of here, I would like to see if we have any more comments that we have missed.
I didn't even get to like hot topic, torrid. Like
I
had a whole bunch more to talk. You know what? We'll do this on another episode. I have someone I really, really want to come on as a guest, so I'm going to work on that. Hopefully.
Oh, okay. All right.
Aubrey says, OMG, I have a Southern Belle dress I've been trying to figure out what to do with. Thank you. I'm going to make it goth. Tag us in that. I want to see that. Please. Skylar Productions, now to recreate the Celine Dion video, It's All Coming Back to Me. I'll have to Google that one. I don't remember it. The only Celine Dion video I could think of is like Titanic or the Deadpool video she did. And if
my God, that was amazing.
It was so where like he has to keep telling her to like bring it back. Like it's a Deadpool thing. And she's just like, this voice goes at 10. Or I don't even remember what the hell she said, but it was wonderful.
So I really feel like we need to do another show. We kind of talked about a lot of the origins of how we got into goth, and we kind of looked at some of the different styles and stuff like that. But there are so many brands that you mentioned Hot Topic, which is basically the everybody's go-to brand when they're younger, but there are so many brands online now that are producing beautiful things. And one of the things that I would like to do is shed light on companies that are creating Gothic styles that are smaller companies, and they are doing very unique pieces. There are several pinup styles that definitely, I refer to it as Halloween Gothic because they launch their Halloween, and then all of the Gothic girls that I know and all of the Goth girls are just like, ooh, I want to have everything in Halloween. And I mean,
because that's the one time a year we can easily get clothes. Speaking of, if you, since we are going to end up doing another one of these episodes, if you are a Gothic brand and you would like to be featured, please reach out to us. We would be very happy to look at your website. I'm just going to be honest with you. We're going to look at reviews too. If we can't like actually touch the things ourselves, we'll look up reviews. And so, yeah, but if you do want to be featured, please feel free to reach out.
I agree. I would like to hear from some of these new upcoming brands that are, I'm getting a lot of invitations to come and look at their stuff. And I really would like to know a bit more about them before moving in. And especially if you're a small business and you would like for us to, what are you laughing at?
I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, we would like to know more about you, especially if you're a jewelry business and you're on Instagram and you message me 50 times a day.
Just send me another one. I'm sending in the dogs to find you. We are sending out the hounds. We don't need any additional jewelry brands reaching out to us going, here's our $400 wish ring.
We're well passed over. Okay, we need to go.
Yeah. All right. And with that, what's the line?
Pleasant screams.
Oh yeah, pleasant screams. And we will see you later.
Adios. Bye.